Trust the science, my friends. And when it comes to video games, that's what we're going to do. We're going to trust the science here. As there's new research on female video game characters uncovering a surprising twist. I'm not surprised at all to hear this. And there's a psychological thing that's going on here with some women, usually the feminist type of women, versus like normal ones who are not threatened, let's say. And so here it is. Female gamers prefer playing as highly sexualized characters despite disliking them. Very interesting. We'll get into this news in just a moment. Hit the like and subscribe button as we talk about all things video games and culture with a focus on science fiction and fantasy, my friends. Really appreciate you for being here. And please join my newsletter. I am a science fiction and fantasy author myself. This is in the description below. And just for signing up, I give you a full graphic novel, My Flying Sparks Volume 1 of 5. And the other 4 are available as digital downloads. They're paid, of course, on my website. If you want to go and grab the full story, it really picks up great. Full science fiction novel and a full fantasy novella. And it's that one's tied into my Adventures of Baron von Monocle series. So good stuff that you can read this weekend. Get started and hang out with us. And I really appreciate everybody who does read and hang out on the newsletter. Love to hear from you. And thank you so much for being here and being a part of our community. That's in the description below, along with other links and ways to support if you so desire. Thank you. Yes, can a strong female character who is also highly sexualized inspire positive perceptions from players? Not necessarily, according to a new study from Communications Research. They found that while strength in female video game characters might signal capability, it doesn't counterbalance the negative impact of sexualization. But in a surprising twist, female participants, despite generally disliking such characters, were more likely to choose the characters to give an option to play as one. And so I actually don't think that they dislike the characters. I think that when they're presented with that, saying, of course I hate that, yeah. But when they see it, they see something pretty, they like something pretty for the most part, is really what it ends up happening. And this is just, normal human psychology. People like pretty ththings. People like to look at pretty things. If you have an aesthetically pleasing video game and character, it's better to look at. It's more fun to have. And so you enjoy that game. It's the same thing with movies. That's why they cast beautiful people in Hollywood. It just makes sense for the most part. And then when they don't, you look at a show and you go, there's something wrong here. Why is the casting like this? This actually ties into an old Star Trek thing, which I'm a big Star Trek fan. I'll kind of talk about some of the female psychology involved in this, which is pretty wild because they actually almost canceled a character because of this exact situation. So this is an interesting study. Backgrounds, why care about this? The portrayal of female characters in video games has long been a topic of debate. This is a Show Media post, of course. Critics argue that many games excessively emphasize sexual appeal in female characters. Yeah, because it's a male-dominated space, of course. And again, if you have pretty things, it's going to work better. You could see this immediately in the enthusiasm behind Stellar Blade, and you can see this immediately in the lack of enthusiasm behind Karens in Space or Star Wars Outlaws. This is exactly what happened all year when you're looking at this, and you saw the shrieking harpies in the media go out and try to attack games like Stellar Blade and then try to hype games like Star Wars Outlaws, even though the quality of the gameplay was far worse in Star Wars Outlaws. It was all just because of the aesthetic. But what they called Stellar Blade in their reviews was shallow, and they called it shallow because it looked pretty. That was the main, quote, problem with it. And that's really, really sad. And this is just who these people are. I think it's jealousy, really, more than anything else. If you get somebody who's out there, a rabid feminist, they know they're not, the best-looking people out there. They never are. They're always weird, blue-haired harpies. And so they want to shut down anything that draws any attention off of themselves. They view it as like competition, even though it's a 2D animated character. Now, normal people, again, don't view 2D animated characters as competition because that's insane. But this is just how these people are, so they'll flip out. But when it comes down to it, when you have that choice, and you're not thinking about it from the terms of like what this is and the gender socialization and prejudice and blah, 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 as they're saying down here, sexism pervades gaming. Who's saying this? This is all nonsense here. And of course, it's a study author who's a woman herself, assistant professor of communication technology. They wanted that. That's what they wanted the result to be. They're out there trying to prove that, quote, sexism pervades gamings. And this is just because, again, it's a male space. And so that's what the feminist society is doing and the woke society is doing all the way around. Any male spaces that there are have to get taken over by women and have to be made more to, quote, the women's eyes and whatever they want, allegedly, and then getting rid of the male gaze, right? This is something that they say all the time, and this is what they're saying here. Game content overwhelmingly features male characters to the exclusion of central female or gender minoritized characters. Jesus. Games that do feature female or gender minoritized characters often unfavorably stereotype and objectify these groups. Oh, in online gaming experiences, men and boys target women, girls, and gender minoritized individuals with sexist and harassing communication. You mean they shit talk because that's just what they do, and you can't handle it. And that's why women should just not be on the internet, in my opinion. It's just that simple. That is your life advice for the day. Gosh, these people are so insufferable. They really are, even listening to this. But when you get to exactly what's going on, 239 undergraduate students participated in this experiment. And then the group was generally on the younger side. They played Soul Calibur 6. They customized one to represent one of 4 combinations of sexualization and strength. High sexualization with high strength, high sexualization with low strength, low sexualization with high strength, and low sexualization with low strength. To achieve these variations, the team manipulated players' visual traits. Characters designed with high sexualization had features associated with previous research. Larger breasts, lower waist to hip ratios, and revealing clothing. And so they watched pre-recorded video clips, each featuring a different character type, engaging in a combat, and after they rated the characters across several dimensions. So, and this was colored by it. By the way they ask things too. Perceived sexualization. So as they start to think about that, then they decide to like things less. And this is how researchers and polls actually manipulate things. The way you ask the question is almost as important to determine the results as anything else. It doesn't actually show preference. It's really very hard to get an unbiased poll result. But as they go through and they look at this, the ones with high sexualization cues were consistently rated as sexualized, of course. And additionally, the characters designed with high strength were rated as more formidable. But when a character combined high sexualization and strength, they perceived her as more sexualized than high sexualization alone, which is kind of interesting. So the interesting gender-based differences emerged in the character preferences. Females generally disliked highly sexualized characters, but more likely to choose characters with high femininity traits when given a choice. Male participants gravitated towards characters with strong, yet less sexualized, indicating a different gender-based preferences. So actually the men don't want to play as sexualized as characters, and the women do because they like being more feminized and they like being perceived as a character who's more feminized. Very, very interesting, and that's really because at the end of the day, what women want is social attention, right? And so when they're on a game and they're going to play as a character, they know they're going to get the most social attention by playing with a feminized character with the larger, assets and things like that. And so they go for it. And so this is pretty normal, and then they get better, happier attention in the online chats and the like, right? And so men don't really care about that. They want to just look like badasses. And you don't need a study to know this. This has been something that's been going on since you can choose any character appearance in World of Warcraft. Jeez, we know that. But this is interesting. So women always choose that, but they quote hate that idea. And it is, like I said, I think it's a competition based thing. And this goes back to Star Trek. As I mentioned before, I'm going to tie this in. Star Trek Voyager problems with Jerry Ryan are on me, says Kate Mulgrew. So what happened was when 7 of 9 was brought in to boost ratings because Jerry Ryan's much more attractive than anybody else on Voyager, of course, except for maybe Neelix, right? Just kidding. But they brought her in and they put her in the tight jumpsuit and all that, to get everybody's attention, and it worked. And Kate Mulgrew, Captain Janeway, fought against it. She tried to fight it. She actually treated Jerry Ryan herself as an actress badly, even though it had nothing to do with Jerry Ryan's decision. Why is that? It's a female competitive sort of thing in the space. And Kate Mulgrew, no offense, Kate, if you watch this, is just less attractive than Jerry Ryan, objectively. And so she knew that the attention was going to be off of her, even though she's the captain. She's supposed to have the attention, and that it would be migrating elsewhere. So it made her mad, and it made her just mad enough to actually be catty towards the person personally to try to get her canceled as a result. This is just how it is. Like I said, there's nothing surprising about any of this. There's nothing surprising about who one would choose. It's all about an attention scale, and it's all about just like what people want to look at. There's multiple reasons. It's the attention level that females want, and it's the fact that people like to look at pretty things. Very, very simple. And that's why some video games win, and other video games like Dragon Age the Veilguard fail. Because Dragon Age the Veilguard is just not giving people pretty things, and it's not giving anybody anything to really want to play as for hours. So this is it, and pretty interesting stuff. But like I said, I could call this study without having to do this. And like obviously, the professors here wanted to like paint this narrative of quote sexism in gaming that really doesn't exist. It's just basic human instincts that are at play here. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Please hit the like and subscribe button, my friends, and grab my newsletter and grab some free books this weekend. Thank you guys so much. And if you're on the newsletter, I'll shoot one out probably a little later today. I'd love to hear from you, so say hi to me. I do like it when people actually respond back. It's nice. It makes me feel not alone out there. All right, we'll be back soon.